Hi guys, I'm making this video to show off a new script. I have two scripts actually. The first one is a bone baking script. What this one will do is it'll take the motion that you created for a mesh using bones and it'll bake it to keyframes for your mesh. So right here I have this little like hair strand, and this hair strand has a whole bunch of bones that I created using the sketch bones. If you go into the mesh here, you'll see there's no keyframe data. Okay, there's nothing keyframed. If I come up to the bone layer, I can go ahead and animate this. Let me go ahead and go out to frame maybe 24. And let's suppose I want this hair to like curl. So I can go maybe like this and then go around, maybe make it curl up a little bit. Maybe go up a little further to here, and then curl it a little bit more, like that. And then I can do something like this, and this would be a nightmare trying to animate using points, but using the bones is pretty neat, but there's a lot of advantages that come with point animation as well. So there's a lot of reasons that you may want to convert this to a point animation instead. All you would do is you would just go to the layer that you have, your mesh layer, and you would simply go up to where scripts are. You'll go to my script and you'll see this bake bones option. If you choose bake bones, it'll ask you what interval you want to bake to. I'm going to go ahead and set it to bake on 3s. And if you hit OK, it'll take it a second to do all of this because it has to go through all the points and bake them all in. So just be aware of that. So right here, it's going to go through everything, bake all those motions in. It's kind of neat watching it. And when it's finished, it'll build. See, now the layer is outside the bone layer. It's not inside the bone layer anymore. I can go get rid of that bone layer. And now I have just the layer, and all that information has been baked into keyframes on 3s, which is what I set to. So if I play it out, see, now it animates on 3s. And just like the bones were. So I can take this and I can put it into a smart bone if I want to, or do all kinds of other neat things, which is pretty cool. I have another script as well. If I create another bone layer, what this script does, it allows you to control smart bones using the position, the X and Y position of your of a smart bone, and it just creates this control system very, very easily. So all you have to do is you have to decide how much space do you want to be moving around in with your control bone, and then you make this bone. You make a bone of that particular length. So I'm going to make this fairly large because I want to have a fairly large space for this control to work in. And once you've got that bone to the length you want, I highly recommend naming it. So if you wanted to control like an eyeball or something like that, you would call it eyeball or whatever it is you want to call it. I highly recommend naming it. So name it, then go to script and choose set up bone controls right here. And when you do that, it'll create your bone control right here. This right here is the one that's going to control the X and the smart bones. And if you move it around, oops, let me go out. If you move it around, you can control the X and Y position. This bone down here, it'll create. You can move the whole control scheme wherever it is you want to move it to. And what's also really cool about this is if you go up to window, and choose your actions, you will see that it automatically created X and Y control axis for you for the smart bones. So if you go into the Y axis, you double click it, it automatically has everything set up for the Y axis. So all the bone position, all the movement, all that stuff, it'll go all the way out from 1 to 120 for your smart bone range. And it has the Y already done, so you don't have to mess with anything in the bone. All you have to do is you go into the child layers and just start animating however it is you want the bone to work in that regard. And it also has the X1 set up as well. So for example, if I come over here and let's suppose I create another this, let's go ahead and make a vector and drop it into that bone there. I can go ahead and maybe create something like a ball or something like this. And if I wanted to center that, I can go ahead and choose the bone there, and I can choose let's choose the Y position, and I don't have to mess with anything in the bone layer. I just got to go straight down to the child layer and choose how I want to manipulate it. So I can go ahead and maybe scale it up. Actually, at the bottom part, maybe I'll scale it down, because it's going to start at 1, and that'll be down towards the bottom. So I want it to be kind of scaled real low like that when it's at the bottom, and then when it gets up to 120, which would be when it's at the top, I can maybe scale this all the way up to 120. So it kind of goes like that. So when it goes, let's see, at 60 it should be at even. So we copy the first frame over like that. So now it goes down, and it goes, oops, I only want the top part to go up. There, like that. And I can set all this to linear. And if I go ahead and go back to the main timeline, you can choose the bone layer, and very, very easily you can grab this controller, and as you move it up, see, now you're controlling the, you made it so that the up and down motion for this bone is controlling a smart bone over here. And of course you can make another one for the X, which will control the left and right. So it does pretty good. You can very, very easily have controls that are that use the X and Y position instead of just plain old rotation. So that's it. Those are the 2 scripts I wanted to show. Thanks for watching.